Hello everyone, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble Phone In tonight. My name's Brian, I'm your host, and tonight I am joined by James. James, how are we?
I'm fine, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Lewis, how are we?
Not bad, mate. Still recovering for the weekend, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yep, definitely. And Wolf?
A wee bit better than the last time I spoke to Brian walking out of Rugby Park on Saturday, but yeah, not. I'll be a bit calmer than I was then.
I think I did all my moaning walking that 10 minutes, so you wouldn't need to hear much of me tonight.
Yeah, my ears are still bleeding.
Absolutely. Well, hello everybody in the chat. If you will let you know when the phone lines are open. When we get the big thumbs up from Martin. So we'll start with you, Wolf.
Thought you might.
Where on earth can we start with Saturday?
Can we just forget about it and move on? Talk about Wednesday. Would that help?
That would be ideal, but
I think it's all been said. I think it was all covered in the post match and on various other kind of podcasts and stuff that people in group chats and everything else. It was just we could still be playing now and we wouldn't have scored. I mean, it was the team selection was wrong. The tactics were wrong. I don't know what the game plan was. I mean, we've been screaming out for a couple of seasons to get tall players up front that can score all these crosses we put in. We sign tall players and stop playing wires. It just doesn't make any sense. I've no idea what the game plan's supposed to be. The team selection was baffling. Dessers clearly isn't fit, but he started the game. Lundstrom hasn't offered anything in months. Starts the game. I just don't know. I don't know what. I mean, it's an interesting start I saw tonight, and I couldn't believe it was that of the last 8 visits to Kilmarnock, we've lost 5 of them. That's incredible. I mean, that's an incredible start. It can't just be that pitch. It just can't be, because the pitch is the same for them both. I mean, it's just horrific. I mean, we knew what Kilmarnock were going to do. You know, I mean, you ask anybody that's ever watched Kilmarnock, they would have told you exactly how Kilmarnock were going to play. And the worrying thing for me is that's exactly how Servette are going to play on Wednesday, but we'll get to that. It's just, I can't even rant on too much about it because it was just an absolute shit show. We were dreadful. And we cannot afford any more performances like that. I mean, we've been saying in the lead up to the season that we're all really looking forward to it and very excited about it. And we need to hit the ground running, win the first 3 league games, win the League Cup game, hopefully get into the Champions League. See what happens when we play them on the 3rd of September when they come visiting. And if we're up at the top of the league, fantastic. We're now behind the 8 ball straight away. I mean, last season, the league fell away from us after we dropped points in that 2-2 draw with Hibs when we ended up with 9 men.
Yeah. And
Celtic just pulled away from us because we blinked first and they got the momentum, got wind on themselves and away they went. We've given them that momentum already. I mean, we needed to put pressure on them. I mean, I've been rattling on since the fixtures came out. Win the first 2 games. Their second game's up here at Pittodrie. Now, Aberdeen traditionally fall over against Celtic. Mm-hmm. But they've been playing well towards the end of last season. I think they've done okay in pre-season. So I'm thinking, well, if they can come up here, sneak a point off them, that's a bit of pressure on Brendan. We're top of the league, we're clear, great. We're behind the 8 ball straight away. So, I mean, if it goes the way you would expect it to go, we win our next 2 games, they'll probably win their next 2. They come to us, we beat them. We're still not ahead of them, unless it's on goal difference. You know what I mean? Points wise, we're where we started on Saturday morning. We can't afford any more slip ups. We just can't.
Yeah, Robert, he's. I thought I'd lighten the mood there just a little bit, just cheer us all up.
Yeah. So no, it's just a shambles. There's nothing we can say other than it was a shambles. And if we get any more performances like that, I'm afraid the manager's jacket will be on a very, very shaky peg.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this one to you, James. Twisted 1690 is asking from Norway. I watch all the Rangers all the time. Do you think money investment in Rangers pay needs time, as last game was poor? We've kind of asked this question a lot. You know, do we need to wait for this to bed in? But there's just, well, Saturday proved it. There's no time to bed in, is there?
Absolutely not, mate. And I don't see why. But see, for me, we should be going and beating Kilmarnock, regardless of who's playing in the Rangers team. This going there and dropping points straight away in the opening game is just an absolute disgrace for me. I think Will's just summed it up perfectly there. For me, Lundstrom should never wear a Rangers top again for me. Ryan Jack is a must in these type of games, regardless of what the pitch is like or whatever. For me, Ryan Jack starts in these games because you know what you're going to get with Kilmarnock. They're going to drag you into a dogfight, and we just allowed it to happen. There wasn't anybody that was willing to put their foot in the ball and take control of the game for us. And I think if you'd Ryan Jack starting in there, I think it would have been a different game because he might have, he would have G'd up the players and actually started kicking a few backsides. But as Will said, it was so lacklustre. It just didn't. We didn't look as if we had a style of play again, which I thought might have came after the pre-season games or whatever. But it just seems to be that we've obviously signed all these attacking players and then we don't play wingers to get the ball into the box for us. So that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, definitely. Folks, the phone lines are open now. Martin's gave me the thumbs up. So it's 0141 628 7237. 0141 628 7237. Get your calls in. The guys will answer them as best they can. It's any topic that you wish. Obviously, Rangers orientated. Just to clear that up. Lewis, I mean, the thing that really bugged me from Saturday was just any chance we had of breaking quick or taking a throw in quick or just doing anything generally quick didn't happen. There was multiple times where we had chances to break up the park and make a pass or just quickly break, and it was just like it was so slow and cumbersome, and that was the thing that was frustrating me.
I 100% agree with you, mate. Look, I see comments already going for the likes of Lundstrom and Barisic, and rightly so, because we won't win a single fucking game with either of the two on a pitch wearing a Rangers shirt. But for me, I'm starting to get very, very worried about Michael Beale's ability as a manager. He is making a lot of mistakes, a lot of amateur errors that we hung Gerrard out to dry for in his early spells. The likes of making substitutions way too late in the game. There's absolutely no reason to give John Lundstrom an extra 35 minutes to prove himself. He's had a year and a half to prove himself, and he's had 3 or 4 months of good fucking form. And you get Kamar Roof on the bench, get 7 minutes on the pitch when Dessers is clearly nowhere near ready to start a football match. And it's going to put a bad catalyst for that boy in his Rangers career because he's not fit to play. Because he is not that player. We wouldn't have paid £4.5 million if that was the player that he is. And if you've got options on the bench, there's absolutely no reason to play them, especially when one of your options is a £6.5 million signing who had already had a near enough full pre-season with Feyenoord. So it's not like he's got the excuse that there's nobody there. There was options there. And again, another amateur error that Gerrard continued to make was have favouritism. John Lundstrom should not have started that game. And I don't know if it was just because I was focusing on him, but he was making error after error after error. Just cannot keep the football. He's not good enough. He's not got quality enough on the ball to be part of that team. Nowhere near it, and it ruins it. Like, you see Raskin's too good for Rangers. Honestly, I don't know how he plays for us. That boy was getting so frustrated. You seen him shouting at the sidelines, asking, what am I meant to do here? It's a team game. There's 10 other men on this pitch and I'm alone, especially in that midfield. And again, like James said, whether Ryan Jack's half fit, 20% fit, or got one leg, he's a better option than John Lundstrom. So I think there's a lot of questions about Michael Beale. I really, really do. And I think he's had enough experience in football to not be making these errors.
Yeah.
So I hope there's a bit of positivity for Wednesday, but I'm more struggling to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. Well, we'll come to one of the guys that was in the firing line, the captain, James Tavernier. Now, for me, to single any of them out for criticism, I thought was harsh because I thought 9 of them were pretty bad. Raskin and Butland and probably Suter, apart from the the conceding of the goal were okay, but at least 8 of them were dreadful. It wasn't just one man. What's your take on the situation with him?
You don't want to single any of them out. I agree. Butland didn't have a lot to do, let's be honest, And what he had to do, he did well. He couldn't do anything with the goal. Suter got unlucky with the ball just landing at his feet and he couldn't get his feet out of the way. There's 2 or 3 players around about him that could have tried to intervene and put the ball away. I thought Suter was one of our better players, and as Lewis said, Raskin did all he could. I mean, Raskin looked, at least he looked to go forward.
Yeah.
The rest of them, it was just an absolute shit show. I mean, I've been a big defender of James Tavernier. He's done well for us over the years, but I mean, a lot of people call him a serial loser. I would never ever like to tag a Rangers captain with that tag. He's been here 8 years. He's won 2 trophies. That's not good enough. He's a lot slower than he was now. If we're playing narrow, and the width is coming from the fullbacks, both our fullbacks that started on Saturday are now over the age of 30. They don't have the pace they had before. I mean, the comment I put up there when Lewis was speaking from prime time, he must have been sitting near me on Saturday, because I made I've seen walking football quicker than this comment on Saturday as well. Because that's what it was like. It was so slow, so laborious. The one time that we did to try and run through the defence as opposed to pass through the defence was when Raskin took a run at them and he got a shot off, and a bit more of that we might have had some pleasure from it. We might have had a goal or whatever from it, but we did it once and we got through the middle. You can't pass through a packed defence like that. There's no width. There's nothing. There's too many. I mean, I don't want to focus too much on Tavernier, which is what you asked, but I mean, the 2 things that really stick out for me with him: he shot out of a tackle, which was 60-40 in his favour. That's not good enough for any Rangers player, let alone a Rangers captain. I don't care what pitch it is. I don't care if it's the first game of the season, the last game of the season, the middle. I don't care. You don't shout out of tackles. He shot out of a 60-40 in his favour. I think it was just towards the end of the first half. And this constant is my ball. I need to take all the throw-ins. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I mean, he runs the width of the park to take a throw-in from behind the 8 ball. And then with 3 minutes into stoppage time, we've got a corner. We're going to take it quickly. And Barisic runs the width of the park to take it. We haven't scored off a Barisic or Tavernier set piece in 92 minutes. Why are we going to do it now? Just get the ball back in play. I mean, that's much as we don't like them across the city, right? That's what they get the ball back in play really quickly. Whoever's got the ball throws it back in, takes a corner, whatever. And I get the argument that comes from Rangers all the time that it gives us time to get back into our shape. It gives the opposition time to get back into their shape as well. So take some risks. We're weak at the back. We haven't addressed that. That's a big problem for me. We've not addressed. I mean, the defence on Saturday, apart from Suter, who's been with us a season and out most of last season injured, that's the defence from 2 or 3 years ago. Goldson straight back in, that was a surprise, but he did okay, I suppose. Barisic has been here 4 years. Tavernier's been here 8. We've not freshened up. We've not freshened up with defence, and the scary thing is that we have to go with that on Wednesday. The only change would be Balogun coming in, and I can't see him dropping Goldson because he's got 90 minutes under his belt. So that's quite worrying that the defence is like that. But the thing, the captain constantly taking every set piece is ridiculous because it slows the game right down. I mean, we've just sat here and said Lundstrom slows the game down, and he does, right? But at least the ball's live when he slows it down. We don't even get the ball back in play. We're screaming at the ball, boys, give us the ball. And then whoever's got the ball waits and hands the ball to Tavernier or lets Barisic take the corner. It's just, you do that when you're 2 or 3 goals up, you're trying to kill time to see the game out. You don't do it when you're getting beat. It's just, it's nonsense. And we've done it for years. It's absolute nonsense.
100%. James, I think all of us in the stands on Saturday were screaming for a change at half time. The first change came in 60-odd minutes. That baffled me completely. I mean, for 45 minutes, you could see it was not working. And to wait another 20 minutes for me was just farcical. It was a waste of time. Phone lines 0141 628 7237. Get your calls in, folks. There's bound to be 1 or 2 yous out there that have got something to get off your chest and have a wee rant. So come on, let's hear from you. But James, that's just generally my point.
No, it is, mate. You can obviously tell. You could tell for 35 minutes that it wasn't that things weren't working for us. So why no make the change then? Why no try something different? Take off Lundstrom or somebody and put on an attacking midfielder. Something that's going to, I don't know, change the game in some way. You had a guy sitting on the bench here for me, and I'm not his biggest fan, but Hadji will try something different. Hadji will either try and have a crack for somewhere, or he'll try that ball, that defence splitting pass, which you need against a Kilmarnock team that are just going to sit in and just sitting at the edge of their own box and no go anywhere. Folk are obviously going about, oh, you've got to give Kilmarnock credit. No, never in a month for Sundays. As I said at the top of the show, we should be going to places like Kelly and absolutely annihilating them and having the game dead and buried at half time. Then you make your changes. Then you can start obviously dropping people to rest people for Wednesday. For me, it wasn't good enough, mate. And Beale needs to take a look at himself now, because he's got a hell of a lot of pressure now on his shoulders now, mate, because this isn't just Van Bronckhorst's team. This is his team now, mate. So he's got a lot of pressure on his back now.
That's a point I was just going to come up with, Lewis. I said before the game started, obviously, we've seen the team lines coming out. And I said to the guys I was with, I says, this could be a massive moment for Beale. If it works, he'll look like a genius. If it fails, he's going to have to die in that hill. And he's going to have to die in that hill with that selection, isn't he?
He's got absolutely nobody but himself to blame, because before he took that role, one of the things that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was slated for was continuing to play three midfielders against teams in Scotland. There is absolutely no need for it. We should be fine with one defensive midfielder, never mind two or three. And John Lundstrom should not be one of them. If you put, idealistically, Raskin and Cifuentes is perfectly good enough to compete with every single team in this country, including Celtic. You do not need somebody to sit there in that sixth position. It's unnecessary. And I think, like James said, I actually do really like Hadji, and I think if Hadji was on that pitch other than Kieran Dowell or John Lundstrom, I think we would have had more clear-cut opportunities, because I don't know who it was that said it on the comments, but somebody pointed out that a lot of people kind of perceive Hadji to be a bit shit sometimes because he tries a lot of things that doesn't come off. But that's called risk and reward. And if you look at his numbers, his chance creation numbers are higher than anybody that's ever played at this club in the last 3 or 4 seasons. So you've got somebody like that on the bench. You've got somebody like Kamar Roof, a bit of mobility. His finishing's second to none. But he can't be any less fit than Cyril Dessers. He can't be, because they're both in the same situation in terms of pre-season fitness. But no, he was left on the bench. Barisic, nothing else you could do. I mean, you could have flung Sterling in there, but I don't think that would have been fair on him in that scenario. So, no, for me, this is Michael Beale's fault. He needs to readjust on Wednesday. And again, if I see 3 central midfielders starting this game, I'm going to lose my shit. Because even against a team like this, at Ibrox, it is so unnecessary. You've got so much money spent on attacking options, and you still continue to play that man. It's getting so angry, but it's his responsibility, and it needs to change on Wednesday. It needs to change. None of this fucking waiting on players getting fit. They've been spent good money on them. They all make 20 to 40 grand a week. So Fuentes should start that game, because let's not forget the guy's like halfway through an MLS campaign. There was no reason he couldn't have started either. So if you haven't Danilo better start, and Lundstrom better not even be on the reserves. Get Bailey Rice on instead of Lundstrom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. Now, I think I've maybe said this to you all from the chat on the way back to the cars. We just sold a perfectly good centre half to Kilmarnock, and he kept both our strikers in his pocket for the entire game.
Absolutely.
Lewis Mayo. Now, I know he wasn't obviously everybody's cup of tea, because they said when they seen him he hadn't played well, but he was one of the few youth players that we loaned out to a SPL team. He pretty much played every game for Kilmarnock. Now, albeit Kilmarnock are a bottom 6 team, but he kept both our strikers in his pocket the whole time and absolutely strolled it. And that really, after watching that on Saturday, that really, really annoyed me that we've let a guy like that go for Buttons basically to Kilmarnock, and he could have played with a Shooter on Saturday or whatever. But the fact that we've let him go now, I mean, that baffles me completely.
It's difficult to say what he would have done for us if we still. I like Lewis Mayo as a player, I really do. But I mean, Saturday I could probably have bossed those two strikers because let's be honest, they got absolutely no service. I mean, Cyril Dessers, as Lewis said, and Lewis, fantastic. That's a well-fetched grant. I really liked that. That was really good, brilliant, superb. Yeah, where was it? I mean, Dessers clearly wasn't fit. He should have been hooked at half-time. Well, we're not screaming for him to get hooked at half-time. He was clearly not fit. So there was nothing that Lewis Mayo really had to do to keep him quiet because they got absolutely no service because with no balls in the middle, we had nothing. We had absolutely nothing. We're trying to pass the ball. It's the same old problem. We're trying to pass the ball through an 8, 9, 10-man defence. And then when we don't, we're bombing high balls up to the landing edge. Dessers won nothing in the air. I mean, if it wasn't Lewis Mayo, it was the other centre half. He won, I don't think he won a single header the whole game. You know what I mean? It's so easy. It was so easy to defend against because he doesn't appear to be that good in the air. We're throwing high balls, and there was nothing coming from angles. We weren't getting to the byline. We weren't trying to beat men. We weren't because we don't have the width. I mean, we've let Sakala's away. We've let Sakala go. Now, I've got no problem with letting Sakala go because we keep saying we need to optimise the value of players, right? And I'll need to shut up now because I'll come back to that because there's somebody on the phone.
Correct.
As Grot Bags would say, there's somebody on the phone.
Correct. And we've got Porter on the phone. Porter, how you doing?
All right, boys, how you doing?
Not bad yourself.
It's just to have a quick note, mate, about how bad that was at the weekend, mate. I mean, mate, I was shocked, honestly, mate. The lack of style we've got as a team. I mean, we just looked like we had no answers for the kick-off, mate. The lack of pace in the team, I think it's frightening. We don't have a lot of pace. I mean, we're not playing wingers. So how we getting the service to these players that are up front, right? Because you've got people like Lundstrom and that. I mean, I don't want to give the guy a hard time, but they shouldn't be wearing Rangers jerseys anymore, mate. They shouldn't be. Campbell was on the bench. He was our best player last season. At the end of the season, he was probably the highlight of a season, even though he was only there for a few months. He was playing behind the strikers. Remember in the Celtic game, it was like, I know Sakala and Matondo, they weren't in the plans going forward, right? But at least we had pace and people moving, mate. I thought the Lammers, it is still early, mate, so I'm not throwing the towel in, but that is very alarming, mate, and that needs to get sorted out very fast, because if we don't, if you've seen the season go past, mate, I mean, when things don't go for us, mate, they players struggle to pick themselves up for it, and that's what my worry is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wolf, I mean, sorry, James, good point there. We've lost a lot of pace in the squad, and as Porter says, it's kind of worrying now, looking forward, that if there is a defeat, this team that we've seen in the past don't react very well.
No, they don't, mate, and that is a worry. But obviously regarding the pace as well, you've obviously got Simmer there. I don't think he's any slouch, but for whatever reason, I just don't think that boy's in form yet. Obviously, we can all see that he's not hit form yet. It's just I don't know if he'll signed his twin brother or whatever, or the guy that obviously ripped us apart for Prague or whatever. But he just, I don't know. I think this guy should have definitely hit the ground running for us, but he just doesn't seem to be that type of, I don't know, the player that I watched play against us. But no, the caller's kind of spot on with his comments there, that one bad defeat and the heats go down. It's no like for years ago when we were watching guys like, I go back to great captains and Richard Gough, Terry Butcher, Barry Ferguson and the likes that were going about there and grabbing folk by the neck and saying to them, get your fingers out your backsides and start performing here now, because this isn't good enough. I just don't think we've got that. I thought that we would have had a few leaders in the door, but it just doesn't seem as if anybody wants to start shouting and bawling at folk, because sometimes that's what you need. It's football. It is, as we say years ago, a man's game. That It did, you know, nobody's kind of prone to getting criticism, and the captain should be one of the ones that's leading that.
Yeah,
Brian,
I mean,
sorry, Brian, can I just jump in? Porter makes some great points there. The thing that really worries me, and as Martin's just pointed out in the chat, it is only one game, and we can come back from this. So let's not kind of completely, let's not throw in the towel here. But you know, to pick up on Porter's points, the thing that got me, see when they scored, it was as if the Rangers team collectively went, well, we're not going to get back into this. Let's just make sure we don't get hammered. You know what I mean? They didn't seem going towards the end of the game. The only team that looked like scoring again was Kilmarnock. It wasn't us. We didn't seem as if we were trying to put the game away. Whether that's a mentality thing or not, I don't know. Because for a lot of players, it's difficult because, you know, they're used to playing for clubs that you get beat the first game. It doesn't really matter. It matters at Rangers. You know, it really, I mean, like I said earlier, we're behind the 8 ball already because they won't drop a lot of points. I mean, people were saying, oh, when Postecoglou came into Celtic, they were a bin fire for 6 or 8 weeks. Then we blew it. They're not going to blow it. You know what I mean? Because their teams are scared to play them just now. That's the problem that we've got. They're not going to drop a lot of points outside of getting beat by us 4 times. And that'll get clipped and come back and bite me in the arse, and that's fine. Right? But, you know what I mean? It's really, really worrying that there just didn't seem that much fight and desire to try and get back into the game from a lost goal. It just looked as if we didn't chuck it. We just thought, well, let's just make sure that we don't lose any more. Just that's concerning.
Was that not a bit of another worrying point, Porter? That as Wolf says that once Kilmarnock scored, that was could you actually see us scoring like an equaliser?
Mate, definitely, mate. Mate, obviously support the team, mate, no matter what. But as soon as they scored, mate, I just had that feeling as a supporter that that's it. And there was like 20 minutes left, and we shouldn't be like that as a fan base, mate. And the reason I'm worried is obviously past years going by. Don't get me wrong, mate. I don't want to be negative, completely negative. We've still got players to come into the team like Sif Fuentes, or I've even saying that, right? Like that boy looks good, so there is still things to do. But the thing I'm worried about is for Michael Beale. He can't have too many of these results because he'll be at the door. That's what's going to happen. He's had the money, and I don't want that to happen. I think he's actually a good manager, but he needs to get a style of play going. And I know there's a lot of players in the door, and to be fair, right? That pitch was honking, right? It's not an excuse, man. Seeing I'm watching it, I'm like, man, how's that allowed in the whole game, man? But it is what it is, right? We know that it's going to be there next season, the season after. But players like Lammers and that, mate, he should have took game off, right? Like a lot long before they did, mate. He didn't try and change it up, even switch it. Not, I mean, he just kind of left the players on, and you could tell they had no ideas. They had no ideas, and they're just like that. And so that's just my worry. But hopefully Saturday, well, Champions League first, Servette. Hopefully we get a nice win against Servette, a nice win against Livy. Hopefully that picks up a bit of confidence, and then the players obviously another couple of games, fitness and things. Hopefully it gels, but you know yourself, mate. It needs to happen, or it's no good. It's going to be curtains for them, mate. Know what I mean?
Yeah, totally agree, Porter. Well, that was a fantastic call. So hopefully calling again.
Aye, no worries, boys. Thanks a lot.
Okay, cheers now. Very, Lewis, that was a great first call. I mean, every point he made was on the hit, right on the nose. And as Wolf said earlier, it is only one game, but you set the tempo in the first game, don't you, for the season?
Listen, I think we come on this podcast, and a lot of the times it's an immediate reaction, so it's very hard to not be negative when you're losing a game that you shouldn't lose in 100 attempts. But as a true fact, it is one game, but one game in Scotland is not worth 3 points. It could be worth 6 points. It could be worth 9 points, because we only really have one competitor. And if, like Wolf says, they're only going to fluff it like we did. They just done they. And see the thing that Celtic does that Rangers still don't do, right? This defence would have a lot less pressure on top of it if the attack performed the way it's meant to and scored 3 or 4 goals 90% of the games we played. And the money we spent, that should be happening. Now, you get a buy to guys like Lammers and guys like Kieran Dowell who didn't have their best performance, but we've seen in pre-season that they're quality footballers. They're coming to Kilmarnock, it's actually a tough, hard game. But that's up to Michael Beale to take both of them off at 45 minutes and put 2 other players on. to make a difference. Because, like I said about Dessers, you're hanging these guys out to dry. The catalyst that they should be having in Rangers supporters' heads now are just going to be naturally that they're not good enough. They can't do this, they can't do that. It's just all negativity now because Michael Beale decided to leave them on longer than they should have. And a manager with experience should know better to do that. You're at Rangers, there's no room for sentimentality. I think Robert said that earlier in the comments. It's been a massive, massive patch on why Rangers have failed in recent times is because managers have had a bit of nepotism involved in it. It's just unacceptable at Rangers. If a player isn't performing, you take him off as early as possible. So on Wednesday, I want to see that. If the game doesn't go our way, then you've got a half and that's you. That's it. You get a half and that's it. You need pressure to play at Rangers. That's why players excel here. It's because there's pressure. You need to win every fucking game. It's not acceptable to draw or lose nothing. It needs to be all about winning. So I really hope that Michael Beale's the man to install that mentality. I'm not 100%, but just I hope that he alters his ways on Wednesday. Right.
Once I take my mute off, I'd push it by mistake. Andrew, you're on the line. How you doing?
Fine, guys. How you doing tonight?
Very good, very good. What's on your mind?
Basically, what happened to the Jonathan Panzo deal, the left-sided centre-back at Notts Forest? We're crying out for a left-sided centre-half at Rangers. They keep playing people out of position. John Souttar, Liam Balogun. What happened to Ben Davies? Is he out of the European squad? Is he going to be sold? Or can you guys maybe update me on what progress we're going to try and make by buying another centre-back?
Okay, guys, who's wanting to jump on there?
Go on, I'll jump into that. As I've always said, I don't really deal in speculation, but Panzo has been hanging about. His name's been hanging about for a long, long time. I don't think he's signed for anybody. I mean, Lewis has got his finger on that pulse. He'll probably will put me right or not. I don't think he's signed for anybody, so he will still be available. I've got a feeling that deal's sitting in the wings waiting to go, and if we put Servette out, which is a very big possibility won't happen, then we'll get the $5 million parachute minimum, and we'll go in and sign him. But I don't really know. You're right. It's absolutely, Andrew. You're right. It's worrying that we're still having to play defensive players out of position. As I said earlier, the defence is old. The centre backs are playing. They're all playing out in the wrong position, and the fact that we keep losing goals, you can't keep giving teams a goal at a start. Saturday proved that. Give a team like Kilmarnock a goal at the start, you're struggling to get back in. If we give Servette a goal at the start on Wednesday, we can kiss the Champions League goodbye, because they'll just do exactly what Kilmarnock did. They'll just sit in and defend. They're quite happy to just sit there, catch us on the break. If they score, great. I think it's curtains if they score first on Wednesday.
How do you feel about that, Andrew?
I think basically I'm trying to be more optimistic, but I agree with you. I can't help but agree with you. What I would do on Wednesday is maybe rest Cyril Dessers and put Sam Lammers up front and get Yanis Hadji maybe in at that number 10 role, and get hopefully the big lad Chuentes on for the start as well. If he should be fit, as you guys say, but it's not going to be a pushover. But I'd be a lot happier if they got a left-sided centre-half on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I think James, somebody said in the comments, we haven't really replaced Helander properly. I mean, I know Ben Davies is in there, but at least when Helander was playing, he was commanding. He made you could see the quality. I just don't see that in Davies sometimes. I don't know about you.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. Obviously, I always thought Helander was your best defender. I thought the guy was very, very rarely done for pace because of his positional sense. And again, it's just an absolute travesty, mate, that the injuries obviously caught up with the guy. Or I think he would still be in that team for me, along with whatever it is, Golson or Souttar or whatever. But no, I agree with Andrew. He makes a lot of good points there regarding freshen it up at least, and let's try and get a bit of positivity back, and let's try and let's try and go out on Wednesday night and get a few goals at home and get the crowd back up. And then, as Andrew says, hits Saturday, we can obviously pump Livingston and then obviously move on to the next games, mate. And hopefully, well, this will just be a kick up the backside that we've needed. Obviously, I'm trying to find a bit of positivity for somewhere, but
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Andrew, how do you see Wednesday going?
I think basically at home, you would always fancy Rangers. They pulled off some fantastic results last season. And certainly under Van Bronckhorst, they were brilliant. They got all the way to that final. So I would use that as enthusiasm and as your inspiration to say, come on, Servette are a decent side, but they're not a great side. So, Rangers are a work in progress, definitely, but we should and could beat them at Ibrox, definitely.
Absolutely agree. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for calling. Great points.
Guys,
take it easy. Lewis, yeah, I mean, Andrew was saying there, we've had some good results in Europe in the past, but this is a pretty much apart from the defence, this is pretty much a new team. So it's I hate saying this at times, but as you said, Raskin's far better than Rangers. There'll obviously be teams watching us because obviously wanting to see if we could improve on last season's sort of efforts. But I mean, as Andrew said, I mean, Servette are Swiss in the Swiss league. So I mean, should we really be worrying about a team like Servette?
At the minute, aye. Naturally, no. I mean, Rangers are still ranked number 30 in the UEFA club rankings, and that's to do with some very impressive Europa League form under Steven Gerrard. So I've seen somebody in the comments saying that Europe is a bonus, which to an extent it is because the league is priority, but no game's a bonus here. Every game is a must-win, especially when Rangers are perceived to be the stronger outfit. Especially at Ibrox, there's maybe 20 to 30 teams that come and roll Rangers there. And even at that, you'd still make it a game under the lights at Ibrox on a European night. It's one of the best atmospheres on the planet. And like Andrew said, I agree with him. Cifuentes and Raskin, that's it. Neymar, you don't need anybody else. You've bought 47 number 10s, so you play the most amount that you can. You play 3 of them in front, and Danilo, the $6.5 million striker, you play him up top, or you can play somebody to support him, whatever. But I do not want to see any more than Raskin and Cifuentes in the middle of that park, or Raskin and Jack. 2 players there, that's all you need. And then just go with as many attacking options as you can, because if you create 30 chances, you're bound to score at least 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah. I mean, Ross, our own Ross Clark's back in the chat. Nice to see you, Ross. What's your opinion on Lammers getting kicked once and, his arse falling out? Never wanted the physical bit, which is a worry for me. Now, I was kind of going into this season hoping that we would have a bit of physicality about us and we would have a bit of bite. But Saturday worried me, Wolf. There was not much there, was there?
I think we will have a bit of physicality. I mean, the one that surprised me is Sima. He seems a lot more physical than I thought he was going to be. But the thing that was concerning me coming into this with all these new players that have got no previous experience of Scottish football is the fact that it's Scottish football. It's like no other football anywhere on the planet. I mean, it's its own. It's in its own little cocoon, and it's so physical. I mean, it'll take these guys up a number of weeks to get used to the fact that you don't get a second on the ball. A guy will kick you, the referee will do nothing about it, and stuff like that. It's the way Scottish football is. You've got to be physical, and I've got no doubt they will be. It takes a bit of getting. It'll take a bit of getting used to, as far as I'm concerned. And I think it will come. It is a bit worrying that the first challenges Arse did fall out, but it's no more worrying than the captain shiting out with 60-40.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it is a bit concerning, but hopefully they'll get used to it. And it's great to see Ross back in the chat. And Ross, tell your brother to look after our Alex. Thanks very much.
And we've got a bit of an exclusive here as well. Ross is in comeback discussions but everything's with his agent. So Martin's obviously in the discussion mode. So watch this space. That's all I'm going to say. Cantwell, Jimmy. Now, what happened? Why was Cantwell not starting? I mean, I think it was either Andrew or the first caller said, Porter said that, Cantwell was the best for the last 6 months, well, last half of last season. He was our best player and wasn't even, wasn't in the starting 11. Found that very, very bemusing.
Same, mate. When I seen obviously the team on Saturday and Cantwell wasn't starting that, I just, you could just tell for then that things weren't going to go our way on Saturday for me, because Cantwell's the type of guy that you're building a team around for me. He's the type of guy that will try and that pass. He will get stuck in. He loves getting. He's got a bit of dig about him, as we said, which also surprised us when he first signed for us. I thought he was a flamboyant player, but he also proved to be, mate, that he loves getting stuck in. I just can't believe that he wasn't starting. I don't know if it was down to that park, if it was something that was in the back of Bill's mind that he was maybe saving him for Wednesday. But for me, you get the game out the road that you're playing right away. And as I said, go 4-0 up, 3-4-0 up, then start resting your players that you want to keep for the next game. None of this, I'll save them and then I'll bring them on if we need them. But at that point, the game's done. The game is away. Because Kilmarnock, as well said, we could have played to next Tuesday and still never scored against Kilmarnock the way we were playing. You need to start guys like Cantwell. Cantwell and Raskin, for me, last year, came in and they were a breath of fresh air for Rangers. And then just to drop him, as Lewis says, for his best player, Lundstrom, it's just, it was dumbfounding, mate, for me. You're mute, Brian.
Brian's not very good at this. We've got a caller waiting. So Chris,
are you there?
Hello, Brian.
How you doing?
Wolf. I'm doing fine. Basically, I'm watching the programme here with Brian and Wolf and that and Lewis. But what annoys me with Bill, we've got a guy from MS who's basically match fit. He's basically played mostly half of the season in America. Mm-hmm. And what I've seen on the side, what was crying out badly was a guy who can run with the ball, tackle, and basically the strength and go forward. You put a guy in lunch jump who literally gave the ball away probably about 5 times within a minute. Mm-hmm. And what annoys me with Bill as well is if you look at Dyer, you've got a guy in Feyenoord who's got 2 league titles and he's on the bench and he gets on about 70, 75 minutes. And the time he come on, the game was actually gone. So I give you Lewis. Bill really has to get his act together because we've got a guy from America who basically has been playing week in, week in. We've got a guy from Feyenoord who's got 2 league titles and he's put Lundstrom on who we're going to free. And we paid with 6 million for Dyer. It makes absolutely no sense.
Lewis,
I don't know what Wolf thinks about it, but you look at it as well. You look at Alex Riley. The guy played for Mark because he couldn't get a sniff. And you look at that show on Saturday.
Yeah.
Chris, you make some very, very good points there. I mean, the game, as we said earlier, the game was crying out for substitutes. I mean, everybody, I was lucky enough to be at the game, as was Brian. And I mean, everybody around me was screaming for substitutions at half time. I mean, we don't know what Cifuentes is going to give us because we've not seen him. Right? I mean, Lewis will have seen him because
the problem with us, he should have been starting. Hmm. I've been watching MRC. I've been watching MRC the American League for a while, and I've seen Ventes play ages ago, and he is a far superior player. And I agree with Lewis. Once will ever be, he should have started 100%. He should have started that game.
I don't think it would have started him because he was only in the door 5 minutes. I've certainly brought him on at half time, but then I wouldn't have started Lundstrom. I said on the Rabble Daily on Friday that Ryan Jack should be the first name on that team sheet for that game on Saturday, and I was bemused when Lundstrom was in for him. But you're right, Cifuentes should have come on at half time at the very, very latest. Because it was crying out for it. And the thing with the thing with the
for 5 minutes. He's only been a couple of 5 minutes, but the guy has got quality. The guy is fairly fit and he's got quality. He should have been in that starting lineup. And see if he's not in that starting lineup on Wednesday, we're in serious trouble. Because Lundstram is not near the player what he is.
No, 100% agree with that. I
If
mean,
Lundstram starts,
100% agree.
I mean, you mentioned Danilo there, not starting. It's not even just the fact he's got back-to-back league titles in the Eredivisie. It's the fact he's playing pre-season for Feyenoord and scoring goals. You know what I mean? So he is match fit. He's been around the club for a couple of weeks. He'll know what they want him to do. Whereas Servette is, he's only just in the door, so it might take him a minute or two. But I still have brought him on. But to not start a guy who is match fit and scoring goals.
See this being in the. Wait now. See this nonsense with the guy being the 5 minutes in the door. Doesn't matter if the guy's in 2 minutes. If he's good enough, he's quality, get him in there. It's like Alex Riley. I can remember if Alex Riley came on the scene at the start. That guy is far superior to majority of what their midfield we have got. If they're good enough, if you're young enough, they're good enough. Derek Johnson was 16 and you played a final against Celtic. It doesn't matter your age. You could be 20 or you could be 70 or 80 or 100. If you've got the ability, play. Guerrero and Vences should have played on Saturday. That was a non-starter, and there was one man who was responsible for that. And I agree with Lewis. Complete 100% agree with Lewis.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, Chris. Thank you very much.
No problem, Brian.
Take it easy.
Oh, I'll be watching the game tomorrow on Wednesday, but like Lewis, if we see Lundstram, I'll be putting my head because that midfield is Raskin, Todd, and Vences all day long.
Well, you're getting a big nodding agreement from Lewis, so there we go. Lewis, just going back on that point, I mean, he was right. I mean, well, I don't know how much the MLS you've watched. I don't watch much. I mean, if I happen to be up one night, late at night and it's on, I'll maybe watch it and I'm not working the next day. But from all I've heard, the guy Cifuentes is, the real deal.
I think everybody watching is getting a bit sick of me talking about this guy, to be honest, because it's been about 3.5 months that I've been bigging him up like he's Luka Modric. Now, I would like to preface that I have only watched one actual football game that he's been involved in, but I have watched as much footage as I could, and I know people don't like stats, but see, when you've not been able to see a player play a full season, the stats is the next best thing, and he's been the best player on a team that's won the MLS, and the MLS is a far superior league to the Scottish League in terms of the general quality of the teams in it. So if he can do it there, he can do it here. And I don't know how he said it, but somebody said there's no reason that he couldn't have at least played a second half. He's had a full half season playing for the MLS. He had a 2-week break before he came here. 3 days training for a professional football player should be enough to get you up and ready for a half at least. And after the Lundstram performance, I mean, like I said, I don't want to speak this guy's name anymore, but he cannot start. So.
My microphone down. I'm doing a Brian. Can I just say very, very quickly, because there's somebody trying to phone. It's Jim and Kirky. Jim, if you're watching, I'll get to you in 2 seconds, buddy. As everybody knows, we do reactions to every game. We do twice weekly phone-ins. We do breaking news, etc. And we've got all our extra stuff over on the Rangers Rabble Patreon. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description. We are recruiting people. We have loads and loads of content going out. We need more people in the door. If you fancy doing podcasts, audio or video, or even a bit of writing, if that sounds up your street, then get in touch with us. DM us on socials. or email rangersrabble@gmail.com and we'll get back to you. So yeah, big season obviously ahead. Loads and loads and loads of podcasts and audio podcasts going out. So if it's something you fancy, get in.
While we're waiting for Martin to answer that phone, Brian, can I circle back to the point I was trying to make about half an hour ago when the first call came in?
Come on,
about Fashion Sakala, because I've just remembered I didn't finish that point, right? Everybody's saying, Sakala would probably done as a turn on Saturday, and they're probably right. He possibly could have done as a turn on Saturday, right? But to play devil's dick advocate a little bit here, right? We can't have it both ways. We're saying that we need to maximise the value of players, right? And Sakala will never be worth more money to us than he is now. So keeping him for 6 months or a season is going to devalue what it is worth to a buying club, be it in Saudi or whatever else it is. And we need, let's be honest, we need better than Fashion Sakala, but it is the width that we need. Now, if the width that we need is going to be Rami Matondo, let's see what he can do. Give him a shot, but he should have done that in pre-season. You know what I mean? It's the width thing that worries me. We really do need to bring in a winger. We need to, or get somebody to play with. If Seema can play wide like we're told, put him on the wing, see how he gets on. The guy's got a bit of pace. He seems to have a bit of dig about him. Stick him out there. See how he gets on. Because Sakala didn't come to us as a winger, but did his best work for us as a winger. I mean, with Cholak and Sakala going out, that's 30 goals we've lost from last season. There you go, Lewis will be impressed. I've got a stat.
Absolutely. Now, bear with me with this, folks. There's just I think Fashion has just released a statement. So I'll read it to you. To my beloved Rangers Football Club, teammates, management, and cherished Rangers fans. Today marks the end of an unforgettable chapter in my life. It was with a heavy heart, yet a spirit of gratitude that I bid farewell to this esteemed club, the supportive management, and my fellow teammates, but most importantly to the passionate and loyal Rangers fans. When I first joined Rangers, I could never have imagined the profound impact this club and its community would have on my life. From the very first day, you embraced me as one of your own, making me feel like I belonged here. And the sense of belonging has been the driving force behind my performances on the pitch. To my teammates, it has been an absolute privilege to share the field with each and every one of you, and I am grateful for the memories we created together and the invaluable lessons I have learned from each one of you. To the coaches and the entire management and staff, I thank you for your unwavering support and guidance. I am truly grateful for the opportunities you have provided me during my time here. Last but not least, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Rangers fans. Your passion and unwavering loyalty are the heartbeat of this club. I am truly humbled by the affection you have shown me during my time here. Rangers fans are simply the best, and I will carry on these memories for our time together, and the special song you created and sang for me in my heart forever. As my journey with Rangers is coming to an end, I want to wish Rangers Football Club all the success and glory it deserves. I will always be a Ranger at heart. I look forward to seeing the club conquer new heights in the future. It has been an honour and a privilege to wear that famous blue jersey and represent this iconic football club. Yours faithfully, Fashion Sakala Jr.
Brian, he's just a class act. That's class. That's just a piece. That's just classy. That's just, first I've seen that's just class. And there's somebody on the phone.
Sorry, Jim. I was just getting through that statement. How are you doing?
No, that's absolutely fine. That's twice I've been crying this week. You know what I mean? So, let's go back to Saturday. It's the St. Martin there. Honestly, my Saturday night, I was like, I watched you guys, then I watched the game, great mood, and I ended up just pouring myself a half pint of whiskey and got in my kit. And that was it. And my real moan is, I hear the talk and that about the midfield, but see, the two fullbacks do my nothing really badly. I mean, I've always come on this show and shoot you guys. I'm 62 now, and fullbacks have got to tackle. These guys can't even clear their lines, never mind tackle, and it's basic. And the young boy Mail showed that in abundance, just by clearing your lines. You still get there just by doing the basics in football, right? And that to me is major in this Rangers team. I was actually quite impressed by the way Butland looked. He looked commanding and all that. But I think even he'll struggle when you've got two fullbacks that can't tackle. And I thought the distribution's terrible. Every time somebody gets near Barisic, I can hear him screaming in the television watching. I just don't get that. You know, I really don't get that. And that was my biggest frustration. I don't mind getting beat. We all get beat, but it's how you get beat. And that. I blame them for a lot of things, guys. It's went wrong with the club. Barisic should be nowhere near Rangers. And again, you know, I'm going to say I always went back to Scottish players. I've said that in the past. Shanklin scored again on Saturday. I'm sorry for bringing this up again. The boy Doig, but it really, really frustrates me that we're letting these kids go, and then obviously you can get Lowry back, but you don't. You know, I just don't get it. I don't get it why we're not signing Scottish players. Is anybody going to tell me the likes of Shanklin would have been better up front for Rangers on Saturday? I'm more than happy if she. Honestly, I really believe that. That's my point, guys. That's my moan, I should say.
Aye, that's okay. James, do you agree with Jim?
I agree with Jim. Aye, I do. But I think when we go for players, mate, as we've already said in this on this show, that when Rangers start to make interest be known in players in Scotland, there's an extra couple of zeros get added onto the transfer fee. And teams like your Hearts and your Aberdeens and stuff like that and your Hibs don't want to sell to us. And it's just, you know what I mean? For me, you see Nisbet going down south to Millwall, who I always thought that if it was $1.5 million, I don't see why Rangers didn't give me a cheeky bid for him to see, well, you accepted $1.5 million for Millwall, let's do business with Rangers. But they would never have sold to Rangers. And I think that's a big thing for me as well. I think Shanklin is a decent goal scorer, but I don't think he's what Rangers need. I don't think he's that elite level that we've got. Granted, obviously the boys that we've signed at the moment haven't set the heather on fire, but I think your boys like your Danilos will come good. They will start scoring the goals for us, and I think it's obviously, like I say, that's my opinion on like your Shanklins and your Nisbets and stuff like that.
I see what you're saying, but I totally agree with that as well. But I think in the past, if you look at it, there is guys that's been away, probably even with clubs that spent down south and with their last year, their contracts and all that. But see, Shanklin, and I said it earlier in the summer, he scores goals in Scotland. And see, when you go to Rugby Park, I mean, you could have Fleming Gaza in your team. Do you know what I mean? But Shanklin scores goals at Rugby. He knows the league. There's a place for having boys like that in your squad. For see likes of him, but give kids like that a chance. I really think they deserve it. He does score goals. He's proved he scored goals. Big Dessers on Saturday. No, I'm not going to criticise his first game and all that, but I saw him jesting the Rangers fans to start shouting and bawling. Well, I can assure you, I was shouting and bawling, albeit it was on the television, but it was so frustrating. And I just think, you get that half chance, Shanklin puts the ball in the net. Mate, I really do. And I think, again, we could have got him before. Shanklin's only an example. I could be here all night talking to you, but I don't want to do that. He's one example. And I'll tell you, see if they don't get their finger, they'll lose kids like Lowry and all that, and they'll sell him for $2 million. It's a great piece of business, and then he goes away for 17 million, 18 million somewhere. They need to watch what they're doing. It's the same with the young boy in the middle of the park. Sorry, I've just forgot his name there now.
Bailey Rice.
A terrific left foot.
Bailey Rice.
Let them blossom. Let them blossom in Scotland. There's places you can go. See, when used to be Rangers. See when you played League Cup ties, etc. These boys are playing. We always see me talk about them, but we never see them. And then when he did get his chance, you know, in pre-season, you go, that boy's a cracker. I'm doing my work saying, this boy's a cracker. Then he disappears. Here we go again, probably on loan to Dumbarton or something like that. I don't get it. I don't get that side of things. But back to my two fullbacks, I want somebody just to tell me whether they don't think fullbacks should be able to tackle. And that's all I've got to say, guys. But thanks for taking my call. Sorry every time I go on to moan, but it's just because I care that much about them. I love them.
Don't worry.
Right.
We're all the same.
The show. It's terrific.
Cheers, thank
all
you.
Right, guys. Cheers, mate.
Take it easy. Cheers.
Cheers, Jim. As Martin said, we're recruiting, so drop me an email. I think you'd be fantastic on here, Jim. I really do. Absolutely brilliant.
Right,
call.
we'll jump. Or sorry, Lewis. We'll jump straight on to Servette playing Wednesday. I think that you've been quite clear on your feelings on Wednesday's team selection. So, do A, you want them to happen, but B, do you think they'll happen?
I'm going to be positive for a change and say aye, that I think it will happen. Because, like I said in the chat there, I will be ending things if I see John Lundstrom's name on that team sheet. I can't go through it again. So anybody but him, even if it's Ryan Jack beside Raskin, I'll be more than happy. You know, this is a team that Rangers should be looking to beat. especially at home. If we can't beat them, we've got no chance of making it into the Champions League proper. So, I think he will change it because that team didn't work against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, so there's no reason why it will work at Ibrox against Servette.
Yeah, I mean, Wolf, do you see many changes happening on Wednesday after what's happening on Saturday, or is it going to be the same sort of story?
I don't actually give a monkey's who what the starting lineup is on Wednesday night, as long as we go out there and beat Servette by a couple of goals. I mean, there has to be changes. I mean, as Lewis says, you can't play John Lundstrom in a home European tie that we have to win. It's far too negative. Far too negative. The defence can't change because there's not the person that will change it, because he's not taking Goldson out and after starting, and putting Big Balogun, and that's just not going to happen. It wouldn't be fair. Well, he's not going to take the captain out anyway, so there's no point in even considering that one. Midfield's got to change. I mean, Lundstrom can't start. He just simply can't. Danilo has to start because he scores goals, and we need to be a lot more positive. And when I watched the Genk Servette second leg last Wednesday, and once Servette went down to 10 men after about 4 minutes, all they did was exactly the same as Kilmarnock did against us. They just sat in. In fact, they sat in deeper than Kilmarnock sat, and they just picked Genk off, scored a couple of goals on the break. Okay, they lost a couple of goals, and then that was it. You know what I mean? They rode the luck about the first goal was a really wicked deflection, and then Genk hit the post and got one cleared off the line, at which point I went, Servette's winning this on penalties, because you could just tell. But they will defend and defend and defend. So we need to be able to unlock that. And with the midfield we had on Saturday, we aren't unlocking that. You couldn't unlock your front door with that. So we need changes. We really, really need changes. Cervantes has to start. Like I said earlier, I've never seen the guy play, but from what I've heard about him, he has to start. And I'll shut up because Connor is on the phone lines. Good evening, Connor.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, bad yourself.
Aye, all right. Aye. No, listen. I mean, obviously frustrated with that result at the weekend. More frustrated with the performance because you can lose games of football. It happens. And, as I was saying to Martin there, the last time we lost the first game of the season, we were on to win the league title. So, plenty of time yet to recover it. But I just think that the game itself, I felt Michael Beale, firstly, I thought his in-game management, I don't know why he didn't change it. I don't know why he didn't try something different, because although he made a couple of changes in the second half, to me, he should have been making the changes at half-time. But, he had Cantwell and Danilo go out and warm up at the start of the second half, clearly with a plan to bring them on. So why not just pull the trigger, bite the bullet and get those changes at half-time before you go a goal behind in a game like that. And not just that, but as the game's going on and then you do go behind, why haven't we at least attempted to go with two up front, get Kemar Roof on a bit earlier, give him more time? Because you're asking a lot out of him to come on with 7 minutes to go to try and change it, when he is arguably the best striker at the club, fully fit. Give him more time. Or if you don't think he's fit enough, why bother having him on the bench if you can only get 7 minutes out of him? And obviously, the defence, again, I looked at that squad and I thought, yep, we've got all these fantastic new players coming in the midfield and attack, but that's the same defensive lineup we've had for a long time. 3 of them have been in our starting back line for a couple of years. I know we brought Balogun back, but again, he's not necessarily new because he basically left for a year and now he's came back. So we've seen that before as well. And I just think there's nothing new about that defence. And we've conceded the first goal in a lot of games over the last couple of years. Although we've been able to rescue it a lot of the time, that was an occasion where that comes back to bite us, where you're not going to rescue it, because when you run apart like that against Kilmarnock, who had a game plan for the start and executed it, to be fair to them, perfectly, as soon as you give them that goal to cling on to, it's no surprise that they go on and get something out of the game. So it's just, I feel like it's the same conversations we've had in the past about the defence, and that's the frustration. When are we going to change it? Learn our lessons. Stop conceding silly goals and shooting ourselves in the foot a lot of the time, because you can argue we could have had a penalty, but we shouldn't be looking back in a game against Kilmarnock away, who were inches for relegation last year, going, well, you know, we needed a penalty to rescue that. We should have been ahead at that point in the first place.
Correct. Totally agree. Wolf?
Brian, I think if we got that penalty, which by the way I think was a penalty, we probably fucking missed it anyway, the way we were playing, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I mean, Connor, absolutely spot on. I can't disagree with any of that. It's absolutely just 100% bang on. And as he says, we've been talking about that on here for months and months and months. It's the same old, same old. I mean, Mark put it rather eloquently on the post match on Saturday when he said it's the same circus with different clowns. I mean, that just about sums up the way Saturday went. And Des Marston, thanks very much there for the £5, whatever that is, sort of super sticker. I don't know how these things are, but thanks for the donation anyway.
Super chat.
Oh, I don't. Okay, super chat. Okay.
Anyway, thanks, Connor. Thanks for calling. Call again, please.
Connor, I hope you feel better for getting that off your chest, mate.
Well, that's the great thing about the platform. It gives us a chance to have that, but yeah, event.
That's why we're here, mate. That's why we're here. Phone in anytime.
Brilliant. Cheers, lad.
Okay, cheers. Thanks. So yes, as I say, we've got Servette on Wednesday. James, are you remotely confident of Wednesday?
Let's change it about. 4-0. There's no other way, mate. We've just got to get into this game now. Let's just win or bust, as they say. Let's go out and get it. Show the world what Rangers are all about. Get the game done and dusted, mate, and then it's on to Saturday. The first 3 points, mate, get them in the bag for in the league as well for the season, and then we can obviously start to kick on and things will come good, mate. And as I said, mate, Lammers will score 30 goals, and so will Danilo. He'll get 30, and but as I said, it's only one game in it, so we can still turn things around, guys.
Well, you've got a fellow. You've got somebody in the same boat. Smoke Madraw's totally behind you with the 4-0. So there we go. But that is all, folks. Busy phoning. That was great. Lots of great calls, guys.
Fantastic calls. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was great. I mean, as Connor said at the end there, that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? It's great. It is good. But go back to Servette, because you're not going to be without a prediction, Brian, and neither are you, Lewis. And I'll tell you mine right now. 3-0 to the famous. Go over to Switzerland, cigars, brandy and slippers, get a wee result, and then on to either PSV Eindhoven or Stum Graz. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I thought of something today that I just want to share with you all, that although it probably will be Eindhoven if we get through, I'd like it to be Stum Graz, because we've not played them in 20 years. You know what I mean? That would be quite nice. It feels like 20 minutes since we played PSV Eindhoven. So let's hope we get past Servette. Let's share James's positivity. Let's destroy Servette on Wednesday night. 3 goals, 2 goals would probably do it, because as somebody pointed out earlier, they finished second in Switzerland with a goal difference of +6, so they don't score a lot. You know, so let's get 2 or 3 goals, take a 2 or 3 goal lead across to Switzerland next week. Then let's bring either PSV or Stum Graz to Ibrox. Do the same to them. Let's get into the Champions League and give it a right good go.
Go on in, Lewis.
Well, as long as John Lundstrom doesn't start, I'm going to predict 3-0 as well. Danilo to hopefully score a hat-trick or something, man. Just something really, really enjoyable for a change.
Yeah.
So 3-0. As long as John Lundstrom's not there, 3-0.
Lundstrom will get a double.
And a first goal scorer?
Lundstrom will go score a brace now, won't he? I'll go with Danilo.
Who am I going to go? Just for the change of it, I'm going to go 2-0 and a Tavernier penalty. I haven't had a penalty for ages. So, are we getting a prediction from Martin, or is he just going to sit there and no predictor?
No.
And you're on mute.
That's classy.
That was good, wasn't it? Right, okay. 6-0 Rangers, Danilo hat-trick.
Wow. There we go, 6-0 from the boss man. So
there you go.
Busy night. Thank you very much, everyone. Everybody in the comments, everybody that phoned in, all outstanding calls. We shall be back with the live build-up and reaction for Servette on Wednesday. My thanks to James.
No problem, mate. Pleasure as always.
Lewis.
Aye, cheers,
Lewis,
mate. Enjoyed it.
If you want to drop Lewis a line, he's in the head of the Lundstrom fan club, so drop him a note if you want to join that club. And Wolf, pleasure as always.
Pleasure as always, Brian. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks to Martin for doing all the screening of the calls and getting them all in. So,
sorry, Brian, special mention for Martin for not letting any of the dark side sneak in, because
absolutely. That was very well done. Very well done. But yes, thanks to everybody in the chat and the comments.
Now you've just made it a game for them to phone in.
That's fine. Good. Get you something to do.
Oh dear, Martin having kittens in the back there. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. We shall see you again very, very soon.